Hello, this is JustaShow, and today's sponsor is keys. Remember, without keys, locked doors are hell. Now today we're going to be talking about cheating and how it's going to start in video games and then move over into real life. Now whenever people use cheat codes in video games, it normally falls under two different categories. And again, there's a million different scenarios and there's a million different things that cheat codes are used for. I mean, some examples: infinite health, infinite ammo if it's a shooting game, infinite magic if it's an MMO or an RPG, and there's all kinds of other cheat codes that do other things. But whenever you think about it, it falls under two different categories. The first one being whenever you're just feeling lazy, or whenever you want to make the game more fun, because I'm not going to lie, using cheat codes to make yourself an unstoppable god and just wreck everything in a video game is really fun. And then number two, whenever it's a move of desperation, whenever you've reached a point that you feel like you can't get past something without it. And whenever you think about it in reference to why people cheat as far as school and academia goes, it falls under two categories again. I mean, one, whenever somebody is just feeling lazy, whenever it's just an ease of access, and whenever somebody becomes desperate, whenever they're put in a situation, whenever they look at it as it's their only option, it's the only thing that they can do. Now, I'm a big fan of the policy, if you haven't done something, you really can't talk about it because you're always on the outside looking in. You don't understand what goes through a person's mind until you've actually done it yourself. Well, I myself have actually cheated twice in my entire life. In all 14 years of education, I fell to the level that I think that I needed to cheat on something. And I'm going to tell you about it. Whenever I was in first grade, there were these things called Mad Minutes, which it's basically this general math exam, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And I think it was like 60 problems in 1 minute, or it was some sort of variation of that where younger me struggled with it. But basically, I got stuck on the addition and subtraction one, and I felt kind of dumb. And I mean, I was stuck on it for a week, and I see all the other people around me excelling, and I was frustrated with it because even though I was able to complete the whole thing, I would just miss one or two, and I'd be like, no, I got so close. So, I actually hatched an evil plan to cheat to pass the one that I was on. And I stand by the fact that if I didn't have a good moral compass, even at a very young age, I could have been evil. And I could have been good at it too. But basically, my plan was this. Okay, the teacher would give us the worksheets that would be on tomorrow's Mad Minute that night so we could take them home and practice on them. And the idea was, I mean, you would do those problems and you would get in the repetition and the pattern, so whenever tomorrow rolled around and it was the exact same problems, you'd be able to do it even under the time limit. Well, I had the idea to get a copy of that and fill it out that night, and then the next morning, while we were filling it out, to have that waiting underneath my desk. And I made sure that there weren't any crinkles or anything else like that. And whenever she was coming around to collect it, I took the one that I had that day and I switched it out with the one that I did last night. And since it was the exact same set of problems, I knew it would line up. I had taken the time to plan this out. I mean, I thought about it like a bank heist. I looked at it from every angle, or at least I thought. Anyways, skip to the next day and they're passing it back out, and I still didn't manage to pass. And it wasn't because I got caught. It's because me, in all of my infinite wisdom, I forgot to double check my work. So I had the same problem. And I mean, I almost yelled this in the middle of class as soon as I found out, but I didn't. And I'm glad, because I would have gotten in trouble. But I yelled it in my head. I'm like, I can't even do this whenever I'm cheating. It's impossible. And I eventually did get past it. But I understand whenever people get to a point that they feel like they have to cheat on something. I mean, I get it. You get to the point of desperation where you feel like you have to and you're trapped. And you just feel so helpless and you feel dumb. And you look at it and that's your only option. So I understand because I've been there. And whenever I think about it in regards to the public school system, I don't like to make blanket statements about anything. And I won't make that about the public school system because I've only been to one set of schools. I mean, I haven't been everywhere and maybe things are different elsewhere. But at least in my school experience, it seems like the education system, not necessarily the teachers, but the way that the school is structured, it rewarded the final result of grades rather than have you actually learned anything about what's being taught. And whenever you think about cheating under those two lenses, you come out with different answers. If you're talking about cheating in reference to whenever you're actually supposed to be learning something, learning how a process works, I would say that cheating is wrong. Because, I mean, let's say you're building this glass. If you cheat and have someone else make it for you, you're going to have no idea how to actually make this if you wanted to do it yourself. So I would say that it's wrong in that respect. But whenever you think about cheating, whenever you're part of a system that the only thing that really matters is the end result, I would say no. Because whenever that's the only thing that matters, is it even a question how you get the answer? Whenever you look at the numbers or whenever you reduce people to numbers, it seems completely acceptable to me. And again, I don't condone cheating, but thinking of it in this context, it seems fine. I mean, what difference does it make if somebody studied and tried their hardest and got 100% and then somebody cheated and got 100%? Because it's both 100%. And whenever you live in a system that's completely structured and ranked by numbers, it doesn't see a distinction. And that brings me to another reason why people cheat in the first place. I mean, I sort of mentioned it, but my public school system turned it into a rank. I mean, it became a competition. I mean, they boiled you down to numbers and then they ranked you accordingly. I remember each time that we got our midterms that you got a number at the bottom that ranked your GPA against everyone else. And I think that there was like 136 people in my class and I was like 38, which was good. But whenever I looked at it, it just felt wrong because it makes it a competition. And I know people that were at the bottom of the list that felt completely stupid. I mean, they tried their hardest, they did their best, but they sunk to the bottom of the pile. And it just made them feel dumb. And I was closer to the top. I mean, I was at 38, I had like a 3.9, but I still didn't feel like I was learning anything. But I mean, whenever you make it a competition, that's another reason that people cheat. You have this social pressure bearing down on you. I mean, you either pass this test or you look stupid. So whenever you have that extra pressure, that's another incentive that makes it appealing to cheat. And it makes me think of a Naruto episode that I watched, and it was part of the Chunin exams, and I'll include a link to the episode so anyone that hasn't seen it or anyone that's forgot about it, but I sort of spawned an idea off of it. But basically in the show, there was a test, and it was a written test, but it was constructed to be so hard that the people taking it wouldn't know what the answers are, and they had specific people planted in out throughout the room that had the answers. And the idea, without them really saying what it was to cheat and not get caught. Because in the ninja world of Naruto, of information collection and how you do battle, it isn't so important how you do it. It's the end result that matters. So I had an idea for an experiment that could be done in a classroom. Something that would make it less of a competition between people and more of a collaborative effort, and definitely something that would put the current system on its head. Basically, a teacher would give out an exam and say, there are no holds barred. You may talk to the person next to you. You may use any resource at your disposal, including phones and the internet. You can cheat, do whatever you need to pass. I mean, they're not going to hand out the answer book, but basically you can do anything that you need to pass the test. And then put this stipulation on it that either everyone in class gets a 100% or you all fail. It doesn't matter if everyone has a 100% and one person has a 99. It'll all fail for the whole class. And I think that that would definitely change things, that people would actually start to work together. And I think it would actually be something that could encourage learning, because at that point it would become a giant discussion. I mean, everyone would be talking to each other, trying to figure out the answer. People would be researching it. People would be talking about it. And everyone would work together to make sure that the right answers were selected to make sure that they would all pass. And it would definitely do wonders for people, and it would make the classroom feel more like a community. People that are supposed to be connected and work together than people that are supposed to be separate. And I mean, obviously, there are some flaws to this strategy. Some people prefer to work alone, and some people may be lazy and not care, but I think it would be definitely an interesting concept, an interesting thing to try. Because, like I said, it would make people work as a group. Because whenever you're boiled down to numbers, it becomes a competition against everyone else. But whenever it's everybody passes or everybody fails, it becomes a group.